Today I get to discuss with you my solution to my 12 bolt problem. What had happened was, for those of you who hadn't watched the previous video, is a little piece of metal from a previous problem or whatever had gotten into the wheel bearings and started taking them apart. And in the course of 800 miles, maybe 1,000 miles, it started taking everything apart, and all the shavings that took apart the other bearing, and they damaged the axles because the bearings were all on the axles on a Chevy 10 bolt and 12 bolt. Well, I bought axle saver bearings, and I don't know how they work yet. I'll get back with you on that in a couple thousand miles, which should be in about 10 days or less. Now, the installation was fairly straightforward. I wanted to take away some of the myths I've been seeing online, because I was looking at how to install them, if they work, if they don't work. The guy that recommended this for me had them on a 94 Camaro, and they worked for 4 years for him, daily driving. So they do work. They're sealed. They have a seal on both ends, and they relocate the bearing to the portion where the old seal was. So the smooth portion of the axle now gets to have the bearings, and that's why it had to have its own seal, because there's no longer any axle tube to make a seal. So it protrudes a 1/4 inch, which some people say you can't use these with C-clip axles, and you can. At least you can if you clean up your axles. Let me show you. Now, I don't know if it's a little hard to see, sorry. It's, see that smooth portion of my axle right there? And how much is sticking out? Well, that smooth portion, let's say about a 1/4 inch, is just enough to push it in to get your C-clip in. There is no room for wiggle. So if your axles are dirty, like as dirty as my backing plate is, then you're not gonna get a C-clip in. So you have to take a wire brush, clean them. Not to mention, you gotta clean the surface anyway in order to have a good clean surface for the seal. Again, because the seal has to be relocated outside of the bearing, and there's one inside, of course, and it's packed with grease, high temperature grease. So that's what makes these work, is they no longer use the splash lubrication of the 90 weight gear oil. So that's kind of a good thing. I mean, it really doesn't really matter. So I'll let you guys know how these work out for me, but I will tell you that they install just fine on my 12 bolt using Moser axles. But they just barely install, meaning if my axles were dirty or if there was buildup of rust, I would not be able to get my C-clips in. So there you go. There you have it. Hopefully it helps somebody out. So yes, these axles were damaged, but I will continue to use them, and I will let you know how it works out. Thank you for watching, and y'all have a good one.